Well, I kind of thought about this all night, how to get these fenders made. This one, you see it kind of flops out there. They're on that bottom corner. And this one, it's pretty straight up and down. I think this is probably the preferable shape. Because this don't look right with it flipped out like that. So this got to go in probably that much. The front on this one's good enough. I went over that yesterday. So what I was thinking about doing is go ahead and massage this fender into the shape that I need. Put me a couple little 90-degree brackets on here. Need one down here at the bottom, probably one up here in the middle of the fender, and maybe one right here on front. 3 little brackets to hold this fender onto the truck, and then use a piece of 3/8 rod to it won't do me much good to bend this in right now. It's just popping right back out again. But I need to get this done into shape. I actually moved it there. And then I can put a big piece of cardboard on the bottom of it and trace the shape. And I know this back part is exactly the same. I made a template for it, and move on to doing this one. So that's what I'm going to have to do. This one here actually looks better overall than the other one, but I'm going to have to start somewhere. I actually like that better. This one obviously shouldn't be bent out that far. It's been spread. So I'll do a little tweaking here. I'll tack this one in, get it to where I want it. I might not even make brackets. I might just tack it right straight onto the metal there. I can reach in there with a cutter and cut it out. And I may try to just take this out of here and bend it. I actually bend it a little with my knee right there doing that. But you can see when I push this in with my knee, that back part is getting longer. So that's what I got to do. I'll try to bend this one into shape, make a bracket, or tack it on here, and make me a template, and then I can use the template to set where this one goes. This one's looks pretty good here, but it's got to go in like that, which pulls the fender in. Well, that's actually not bad. Anyway, that's how I figured to do it. And I can also make some kind of a cardboard template here that'll fit the fender curve up against the this bed frame, and that'll tell me where the up and down of this fender goes. So basically I have to decide on something and then make me some big cardboard templates and try to massage that other fender into shape. Well, one of the first things I did is I ground all these heavy welds that I had on here out. I've got to beat this whole fender into more of a round edge. So I took everything that was really sticking up and took that all off. I'll try to get a good shape in here instead of that big dent. This is going to change the shape of the fender a little. So I'll do a little body work on this. I'm going to take it over to the other side, lay it on the floor. I think this is probably pretty good for the fender. This one's got a kind of a curve sticking out right here. I'm going to try to dolly all of this into some kind of a better shape, and that's going to give me a better idea what I need to do. I mean, there's no use of me trying to get the fender into shape and then leaving all this in it. I'll just beat it all out, get it as good as I can, then I can work on forming the fender. Well, I worked on this for probably an hour. Some of these places I ground my weld out and then knocked out. I almost went through my weld. Might have a few holes in it, but I've got it pretty smooth across there. This was a slow process, working on like a dime-sized place. Like, for example, this little place here, that's quarter sized. Have to grind it down, hammer it, grind it some more and hammer it. I'm going to have to bondo it, and I've got some places like in here that I ground down, and then when I hammered them, they're super thin. But I've got it pretty smooth, good enough to lay down on the floor here flat and determine what kind of shape I'm going to have on this rear fender. At least it's all about the same thickness, so when I go to bending on this fender, it'll all be the same. Actually, it looks quite a bit better. My roundness looks a lot better. It didn't change the fender too much. I did step on this and kind of squish it around, but bottom of the fender is right about the edge of the tire. This actually don't look too bad. You could maybe move it out an inch. I'd like to get it to cover up the whole tire, and I'm in. Well, this is stopping it right there. And this well, it was. It's going down to the running board. Looks like we got it way too far forward. That's too much. Anyway, I just want to show you this curve is pretty good. And yeah, much better. Still not perfect by any means. And I probably put a few more holes in it I'll have to patch. But this is pretty good. Yeah, that actually helped it quite a bit. Made it round. This one's got a more of a bulbous look to it, and it's outside of the wheel a few inches. Probably need to cut this one up a little bit more. But this is a pretty decent shape. It's a lot of work doing this a nickel or a quarter sized dent at a time. I gotta make up my mind what I'm gonna use. I can't really measure it off the tires. I have to measure it off of the fender inside, because I know the fenders are exactly the same. I don't know if the truck body's sitting on the axle perfectly straight. So I'll find some stable point and use that. So got a feeling I'm gonna have to cut this one down a little bit, but you know, now that I've got this edge straight, it's pretty easy to tape it and cut the same amount off, so it'll be real easy to shrink that a little. I think this one's going to be the hardest to bend because I've got that rod in it. So I think I'm going to get this one on here best I can and tack it and make the template from this fender, because this is pretty straight with the wheel and everything. It looks all right. And I think this one, if I just cut an inch of it out, it'll be almost the same. So that's what I'll do. I'll try to finalize that other right hand fender. Well, here's my first little bracket that just fell off. It held this in place, and I'm going to put a bracket there to clamp this to the floorboard, running board. I've got a piece of 1/8 inch steel here. I'm going to waste a lot of disc cutting it, so I fired up my little plasma cutter here. I'm going to just run it alongside that straight edge. That should give me a pretty decent cut, and then I can make some more right angle brackets. I got this welded back. My fender fits good here all the way around. I'm right up against it here, fender and the bed. I put a bracket on here. You see how high it is. But trying to clamp that, no cigar. If I get that clamped, it really has a bad tweak effect on everything. So it looks like where I've got that old rusty piece of metal clamped in the middle, that's where it's holding it pretty good. I got everything centered. I think probably what I'll do is put a spacer right there. I don't know. I may cut a little plate to cover that. But it looks like the middle of the fender, everything up in here is good. I've got a little bit of dip right here, but that's really not that bad. You can see that it's on the fender there. I could probably put a bracket right here. I got plenty of room on the inside. It's about where that big rivet is. This fits good through here. I'm right at the edge of the tailgate post. That bracket is flush with the bottom of the frame. I've got my bottom of the fender going out. It's caved in right here a little bit, but once I can get this welded, I can do something about pulling that out. I pull it out to the edge of the tire. So this is all pretty much, except for that cave in up there in front, pretty much what I want this fender to look like. And I can probably put a big piece of steel or something across here, and a C-clamp, maybe a 2x4, and bend this out, and my little plasma cutter, I must have done something it didn't like. The tip was broke. I gave up and cut it with my cutoff tool. This fender's approximately the same place. Everything measures about the same. I'm touching, this is about the same. It's about 1 inch away, and it's touching right in the middle. So the curve versus the floorboard is the same. I might have to trim a little off of this. Probably kind of big right now, but I'm going to go ahead and mount this other fender, not permanently but solidly, particularly right there in the top. That can be a permanent bracket. And probably make one here where I've got this thing clamped in here, and put a bolt in it so I can bolt it to the floorboard. That'll give me 3 good solid spots, and then I can work on bending that out. So basically this is kind of done, at least as far as a basic mock-up. I'm getting kind of tired. I think I'll go get something to eat, and I'll hit it after lunch. I got this bracketed on. I welded a piece here in this joint. It's really rough right there on the bed. I can't get anything in there, and I didn't really want to tack it super well. I did this one. I got it on pretty good, and it's on that big rod, and I tacked it a little. This one I got a bracket welded in, and it's clamped onto the floorboard, running board. It bowed a little bit, It brought it up just in the middle where it's clamped, but this fender is running right now right at the almost flush all the way around with this tire. I can see a little dent right there. So what I need to do is bend this out maybe an inch, and this is really strong now, so I don't think I'll have any trouble tweaking this thing. The bottom's got a pretty good bracket clamp there, so it's pretty strong. It might need to be a little bit bent over. I can put more brackets right in here. This is all loose. It starts hitting right in there, right in this area. But I don't really worry too much about this. I'm going to try to get that out. If I can get that out to the edge of the tire, I'll be happy. So I'll see if I can sort me out something. I'll probably just lay a 2x4 across there and a bunch of C-clamps. Try to bend that thing out. Well, that's not going to do a hell of a lot of good. It's almost straight already. So I need to have something with a curve in it. If I go back here and try to clamp it, I'll just bend something else. It's not going to pull out that rod. I kind of thought about that because when I made that rod, I made it straight, so the fender would also be straight. Not exactly how I'm sure how I'm going to do that. I might be able to put a board across this way, about this long, clamp one vertically here, and try it this way. That would pull this middle out. I'll clamp it up, show you what I mean. Well, that's kind of I was talking about. This hammer's going to disperse the load there on the bed, and it looks like it's moving it a little. It is trying to bend it out. Let me get as much leverage on here as I can. But this is not a one-handed job. I'll see if I can work on this a little and see if I can't do something with it. Version 2. I just put a board back behind that sledgehammer, and I actually moved it out, oh, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch at least, and I got a pretty good pry on it here. Let's see if I can set you up here and you can watch an old man struggle with board. Now if I don't knock my camera off. So anyway, give this a push. Whoa. Something's given. Like the bottom of the fender's coming out here. But I've got it out past the tire. Definitely put a big lump right in there. That moved it. See, it looked like it put a kink right in here. And that's quite a bit out now. And up here in the front, I can tell that it's over the tire. Let me unhook my contraption here and see what I got. Well, I did put a little lump right here, but that just bends real easy. It looks like it moved this out. I'm almost out to the edge of the tire now. Now it looks like it's going in. Need to concentrate right there in that area. How much of my rod's in here? Yeah, I think the rod quits right here. I think I'd be better off taking that fender off and using a sledgehammer on it. Wish I had a porta power. I used to, but it got burned up in the fire. Yeah, I can tell this is really strong. Well, I made it to be strong. And really prying on this this tin up here in the back, it's not gonna alter this big 3/8 rod. So it has to be more or less held with something solid and then pounded right here in the middle to bring it out. I could pry on it again. But you know, once I welded this all good up in here and got a shape to it, got it pretty smooth, that made this super strong. Plus this is real heavy stainless steel. It's much stronger than this tin stuff over here. I might be able to put a couple boards here to distribute the weight, like maybe an inch thick, and then try to do this with some clamps. I don't think that's going to work. Even if I clamped it here in the middle. Yeah. See, it's all dead straight right here. And then I got my curve going out there. Really need a porta power. I could reach in there and put the ram right against this. And pump it right out. I don't know. I have to think about that, but what I did do is get this fender out over the edge of the tire good. I just have to do that place right in there. Of course, this one's, you know, got a good inch, 2 inches, but I have to cut an inch out of that fender, so I'm going to have the same problem. I just need to have this curve here put into that section. I really never thought about it when I made that bar. Well, I did think about it, but I had nothing to compare it to. So I can take it off and beat it out. My little tack welds here can come off. I can get to these pretty easy. Maybe that's what I need to do, is get after that thing with a big sledgehammer. At least I can get this bowed out from here to here. Looking at the floor again, probably. From here to here. I can see it's kind of bowed in. Well, it's actually straight. But if I had a little bow in it, that would help. I could accomplish the same thing with a piece of steel right here, because this rod's not going to bend. Piece of steel on each end, and a big piece of steel there for the straight. Let me set that up. I think I know how I might do that. Well, you're probably having a good laugh at me, but this is plenty strong, a lot stronger than that 3/8 rod. Believe it or not, that's one of burn-up jack stands that I salvaged. These are some big welding clamps. They were also burnt. But these things are pretty strong, and I've got them back in behind on the 3/8 rod. They generate quite a bit of pressure, especially when I put a piece of pipe on there. So I'm going to oil them up a little. That'll help. Just spray a little WD-40 on there. I've got the edge of this on the rod itself. I'm just trying to get the middle started bending, and then I can move it a little bit more towards the end. Let me oil these up and see what happens. Well, let's give it a shot. Found me a piece of pipe here. Loosen up. Something's moving. Yeah, looks like it's moved 1/8 of an inch at least. It's loose. It's definitely closing this triangle up. Yeah. Moving pretty good. happen. Put this big one and get it up here in the front. It's kind of hard to get it on that rod. Looks like it's pretty close. Oh yeah, I can see it bending it already. Looks like this one big one might do it. That's about 1/10 of an inch, probably a 1/16 per half. Definitely is moving. Down to out the edge of the tire. Looks like that one's about ready to pop off. Setup's kind of twisting. It's still moving it out. Oh yeah, moving it a lot now. I don't know where it's coming. It looks like it's pulling that middle of the down rod out. Kind of nervous about this thing popping off. Yeah, that bent it some more. My signal to quit. You can see here, you know, I sure not going to stick my finger down in there. Can't really see the tire down there, but I definitely moved it out. Let me take this mess off here and see what we did do. Actually, that don't look too bad. It's still pretty straight. And I've got the looking straight down on it. This piece here is right about even with the marking on the tire. You know, I knock this in, that kind of straightens the tin up. You know, that might be good enough. Really, all I want is the tire don't hit the fender. I'm gonna call that good. Yeah, it's pretty straight from the back to the front. I can't get a hell of a lot better than that. So if I have to, I'll go back in there with this mess and try to bend it some more. I could clamp it better, but actually That was a lot easier than trying to take this whole thing off and redo it. Well, I think that's about it for the day. Now I have to measure this fender and finish a little straightening out, and then duplicate it over here on this one. That's a deal for another day. So I think this was pretty good success. It don't look bad at all, considering that this was just pure junk to start with. Yeah, I'm gonna have to Bondo it. Yeah, you got just too many places where it's just too thin, and I don't want to start putting more holes in it. And it ain't too bad. Thin coat of Bondo will make that look real nice. Don't have to save my rat rod look. Anyway, next step, try to work on this. Story for another day.